Good evening. Here are the top international headlines for March 5, 2026. Our top story tonight: a major escalation in the Middle East. The conflict involving the United States, Israel, and Iran has entered a critical and dangerous new phase. The Pentagon has confirmed what it described as surgical and overwhelming strikes targeting Iranian infrastructure. In a significant development, a U.S. strike reportedly hit an Iranian warship off the coast of Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, Israel has expanded its military operations into Lebanon. Local authorities report at least 11 casualties following the latest round of airstrikes. Political rhetoric is also intensifying. President Donald Trump suggested that leadership change from within Iran may ultimately be the most viable path forward once hostilities subside. Russia has strongly condemned the U.S. actions, calling the justification for the attacks imaginary and warning that further escalation could destabilize the wider region. The humanitarian impact is already being felt. The United Kingdom has chartered its first repatriation flights to evacuate citizens stranded in West Asia, amid fears that the conflict could spread further. Turning now to South Asia, a landmark general election in Nepal. Millions of Nepalese citizens are casting their votes today in an election that was triggered nearly 2 years ahead of schedule following massive youth-led protests. The vote is widely being described as a Gen Z rebellion against Nepal's traditional political establishment. A newly formed party led by Kathmandu Mayor Bilendra Shah, a former rapper turned politician, is mounting a serious challenge to the long-dominant Nepali Congress and the Communist Party of Nepal Unified Marxist. Security is tight across the country. More than 300,000 security personnel have been deployed to oversee voting at approximately 23,000 polling stations nationwide. The outcome could significantly reshape Nepal's political landscape and regional dynamics. In global trade and economic news, a major ruling from the United States Supreme Court. In a 6-3 decision, the court ruled that the use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose broad tariffs exceeded presidential authority. The decision marks a substantial legal setback for the Trump administration and could have wide-reaching implications for U.S. trade policy. Meanwhile, global oil prices are surging. The Strait of Hormuz remains a critical flashpoint, with approximately 150 ships, including vessels carrying liquefied natural gas, reportedly anchored or delayed due to rising tensions. Analysts warn that prolonged disruption could trigger a broader energy crisis. In China, the National People's Congress is formalizing the country's 15th five-year plan for 2026 to 2030. The blueprint places heavy emphasis on economic security, industrial resilience, and strategic self-reliance as Beijing navigates a volatile global environment. And in other key developments around the world, in Canada, Minister Maninder Sidhu is hosting European Union Commissioner Maros Šefčovič in Toronto to sign new agreements aimed at strengthening trade and economic security under the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. In Denmark, Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has officially called a general election for March 24th. Analysts say she is seeking to capitalize on improved polling numbers, sometimes referred to as a Greenland bounce. And in Geneva, negotiators continue discussions on a proposed prosperity deal for Ukraine's post-war reconstruction. However, fighting on the ground remains intense. Russia has accused Ukraine of responsibility for a recent tanker sinking in the Mediterranean, a claim Kyiv denies. Those are the latest international developments at this hour. Stay with us for continuing coverage and in-depth analysis.